Welcome to my YouTube channel and to a very wet Atlanta, Georgia. I've been here for a few days working on the scenery for a customer's O-scale layout. So let's head over there now and take a look at what I've been doing.
Hello, you must be Peter.
Oh, yes, I'm Peter. Nice to meet you.
I'm David. Nice to meet you as well.
Okay, excellent.
You want to come on in and look at the layout?
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, this is the area we have to work with. This is an O-scale layout. He has a mixture of 3-rail and 2-rail. This room, the main layout is 2-rail, and then he has an extension from his 3-rail layout in the other room. It just briefly reappears in this scene. So here is bare benchwork. It's a blank canvas. The goal for this week is to turn this area into somewhat finished scenery. First thing we have to do is get rid of the train, and then I'm going to cut away most of this level benchwork to make way for a river valley. There's also some electrical switches that need to be moved out of the way, but that should not be a big problem. So now the benchwork has been cut out, giving us a short side aisle. Not only do we have far better access into the corner without having to climb on the benchwork, but we have more viewing angles as well. So by cutting away this benchwork here, enlarging the aisle, we actually win twice. I would like to have got the stream bed a little bit lower than that, but this is fine. We have about 4 inches below the lowest track. So the 3-rail system is basically going to be a water level route. And then we'll have a decent sized cliff up to the high level. Well, this is how far we got on day one. We've got this side aisle cut in to what used to be benchwork. Drop this area by about 4 inches for a lake bed. I got the bridge abutments built and installed for the girder bridge on the top deck. I built the small arch for the lower level and one for the road. There's another one up here which will be installed higher up on the road. So the road that comes winding down the hill crosses the stream twice. The lower level of track crosses it once, and then the stream will head into a lake in this area. First order of business today, something I should have done yesterday, is paint the track before there's too much to mask off. And then I'll be creating the rough shape of the landscape. I also need to get the fascia installed today and start on the plaster work. It's going to be a busy day, so I will check in with you again later. Well, here I am arriving for the start of day 3. So 2 days into the project, this is how far we've got. Remember, we cut this aisle in, so we did a lot of benchwork modifications on the first day. We've got bridge abutments in, we've got the road coming down, the stream bed coming down. About a third, maybe a little more, of the rock work is done. We've got that first retaining wall back up there, although I'm thinking it might be too high. I might want to reduce the height of it. So we have another big landmass right here where the camera is at the moment. Another retaining wall between these two tracks here, and then most of this will be lake. Today is going to be a long day. I have to get all the scenery roughed in so that I can get the wash colours on the rocks tonight. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to get to work. Here we are arriving for work on day 4. Yesterday we put a lot of hours in and we got all the rock work done. Got the initial wash coats on everything. Today the first order of business would have been to finish colouring the rocks, but we have a little bit of an issue here. If we look here, this double stack, just a little tall for the tunnel on the curve. It just brushes, so I'm going to have to trim that, just shave it a little bit. It's not a big deal. I have shaved the plaster slightly, and it now misses. Not by very much, but by enough. I've just got to put some paint in there, cover up where I chipped it.
That one right there fine, doesn't it?
Oh yes.
Okay, good.
It goes through all of them now.
Okay.
Well, about 2 hours have passed since I got here this morning, and in that time I put 3 coats of dry brushing on all the rock work and the stone retaining walls. So it's starting to look a lot more like scenery now. Next step is to get the sculptor mould out and fill in the dirt areas. Well, I've done the next couple of stages in the ground cover. We tried an experiment here. He didn't have the dirt that I was expecting, but he did have some potting soil. It's a lot coarser than the dirt I'm used to using, but since it's O scale, actually I think it looks okay. It certainly gives some texture. It's kind of dark. I've also sprinkled some chopped dead leaves on it, which has lightened it up in places. This potting soil does have a lot of specks of white fertilizer in it, and anything that is still visible once we've got the ground cover in, we'll just pick out with some tweezers. So that's what it looks like halfway through day 4. Here we are arriving Friday morning, start of day 5. So this is what 4 days progress has given us. David was in here last night cleaning up, as he has every night, so we always have a nice clean area to work in each morning. Still missing on this area, we've still got to get the riverbed in. The upper stream bed is done, but the flat water at the bottom leading into the lake, I've still got to prepare that base ready for the water. We've got a whole load of tree planting to do. I don't think we have anywhere near enough trees for this layout, so what we're going to do is just concentrate them on one small area so we have some finished areas to look at. And then we'll replace the track, ballast the track, pour the water, paint the fascia, and then we can call this area finished. But before I turn the camera off, the project has grown. He wants me to stay an extra day and make some benchwork modifications in this area. So that has actually improved the situation with the scenery because we now have more drying time. So we can actually do more steps that we would otherwise have had to have omitted. So now let's turn the camera off and get to work. We're now midway through day 5. Most of the landscape is in place. We've ballasted as much of the track as we can. All the 3-rail system has been done, and on the upper level the 2-rail track, I've stopped here. The bridge hasn't arrived yet, and this side of the bridge the alignment isn't quite right. There's a joint here on the bridge. We've got to unsolder that and take about 1/4 inch of rail out, otherwise we end up with a sharp kink here. So that's why I stopped the ballast this side of the bridge. Right now it's time to plant some trees, and then we'll come back this evening and prep the lake bed for the water. Well, this afternoon we spent some time planting trees. We didn't really have enough of them, So there's a few there that are just placeholders until we can get some better ones. And we did get the lake bed painted and then realised that there were some imperfections in the plaster base, so I've just come back with spackle and covered all those. So we've still got to repaint that and then let that dry before we're ready to pour the water. Just arrived on the morning of Saturday. It's the last day here, so everything has to be done today. David was in here last night painting the fascia. The major task today on the scenery side is to get the water poured. There's a few more little things I want to do, like getting some bushes and some undergrowth in the back of this forest area because it looks a little bit open there. But today's major task is to do all the benchwork modifications on this side of the room. So without further ado, let's get busy. We've done a few benchwork modifications. We started by cutting an access space in here. We cut another access space in the back corner. We've dropped the benchwork down here to allow for a stream. It's going to be this triple span girder bridge across the back. He already has bridge piers out of styrene. Those are just temporary 2x4 legs. There's going to be another culvert, a different design with 3 rail, and then this is going to be a big stone arch bridge. The fascia at the moment has deliberately been left too high and too long, allowing plenty of options for trimming it. This area here is eventually going to be his control panel. We've continued the fascia around here, joined up with the end here. The screws are temporary. Once the glue has set nice and hard, they can be backed out, and then the holes can be filled, sanded and painted over, and it'll be invisible. I have poured 2 quarts of vitex light in the stream and lake. It's gradually running down, finding its own level. Still have a lot of air bubbles. David has gone off to find a hairdryer because that's the easiest way of getting rid of the bubbles. The lake ended up a little bit wider than anticipated because of the leg that was right at the front here. It was a lot easier to widen the benchwork by about 6 inches than it was to move the leg. So hopefully David can find that hairdryer, then we'll just get rid of the bubbles, and then I will be signing off for this job. The girder bridge did not arrive in time for it to be installed, but that's something that David can easily do by himself. And as I mentioned yesterday, a lot of these trees are just placeholders until he can get enough full-size O-scale trees. We concentrated all the big ones that we had in just one area to make it look fairly finished. He's still got to come back and add to the undergrowth. I showed him how to add a few in here, although they're kind of blending in with the ground cover because of the colour we used. He's going to use several different colours using the technique that I showed him. Well, David was not able to find a hairdryer, so I just did it the hard way. I had to blow on each bubble with a straw. Now the water is nice and clear. No bubbles anywhere. We even have some clouds reflected in the water. Well, that just about wraps up this project. I believe David is very happy with the outcome. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.